Wait a minute. Isn't that kind of ironic for a turkey to say gobble, gobble, gobble? How about not gobble, not gobble, not gobble, not gobble?
This is Lena Shagan, Iowa Mom. Let's talk turkey. When you're picking out a turkey, something important to know is how many people you're going to serve, and then you want to figure out how many pounds you're going to need. On the ticket here, it's going to say how many pounds it is. If it's under 12 pounds, you need to allow a pound a person or a serving. And if it's over 12 pounds, then it only needs to be a half a pound. And that has to do with, you know, every turkey is going to have the bones and stuff in there that's going to go to waste. So if you're going over 12, you're actually going to get a lot more meat for your dollar. So this one's 15 pounds, and so that would serve 30 servings. And of course, if you have people that want to eat more than one serving, you're going to want to consider that when you're deciding how much. And my own personal preference is to get the biggest turkey I can and have lots of good leftovers.
We need to figure out exactly how many days we are going to thaw our turkey. Let's say you've got a 4-pound bird, which nobody does, but anyway, if it's 4 pounds, it's going to be ready in 1 day, and that would be 24 hours. 8 pounds, 2 days. Now, if you have one that's kind of in between, let's say it's in between 4 and 8, like it's a 6 pound, then just add a half of a day. But remember, the rule is allow 1 day in the refrigerator for 4 pounds of turkey. You want to make sure it's thawed out, and do not set it out on the counter like I know I've heard some people do. I've also heard somebody that said that they would put it in the oven overnight, like at 250 degrees or something like that. And, you know, anyway, that's not recommended. You just can't mess with this stuff. One thing that I like to do is, if I have a lot of people coming, I like to cook my turkey the day before, carve it, put it in the refrigerator, and then just heat it up again for my guests.
When it's finally time to roast the turkey, we're going to take the wrapper off and then open up the turkey. You're going to pull those legs apart and find what's inside. Sometimes there's things in there that happens to be a neck. And then on the other side, you'll also find in that cavity, sometimes there'll be things like, well, there's gizzard, heart, and livers. You can cook it separately or just throw it away. We're going to wash it thoroughly, and that little thing you see right there is a meat thermometer. And when it is fully cooked, that little red thing's going to pop out. It sounds like they're not perfectly accurate. If you see that pop out, then test it with a real meat thermometer to make sure that it's 165 or better. We're looking at cleaning the thing inside and out, and when it's completely cleaned, it's time to start seasoning the bird. We're going to put salt and pepper all over it, both on the top and the back and all around. A little bit of garlic powder on it gives a little extra flavor. We use a little bit of olive oil to give it some more flavor and moisture, and you just rub that all over. And we're going to do that front and back and make sure there's plenty of oil on it. Now we're going to slather this thing up really good. Then we're going to season it and put oil on the inside as well. Then on the inside, it kind of gives a little extra flavor. If you want to put some onions in there, some celery in there. Now when we're ready and everything's seasoned, we're going to strap those legs together. Usually they come with this little kind of a silicone plastic type thing that holds the legs together so they don't spread out. If it doesn't have that, you can just tie the legs together with some string. We're going to use oven bag, and this oven bag right here, I got 3 of them for $1 at the dollar store. Make sure it does say it's for oven and that you get the size you need for the size of your turkey. The oven bags will hold the moisture in, so you will have less likely being too dry. We're going to start by adding a tablespoon of flour, and then you give it a good shake so it makes a nice cloud of flour in that bag. It's going to coat the bag so that your turkey will not be as likely to stick to the bag. Now, I'm going to warn you because what happened one time is I was holding the bag up in the air, and then I put the turkey in it, and the turkey went right through the bag. So make sure you put the bag in the sink, and so that it's supported at the bottom in the sink, and then you put the turkey in, and that way you're not going to have the bag try to hold the 20-pound turkey with a little piece of plastic that way. And so then you gather up the plastic, and there's a little mechanism in the bags there. It looks kind of like a twist tie, and you just put that together. It looks like plastic. It's probably a silicone that can bake in the oven. And tighten it up, and now the turkey is going to be encased in plastic. We're going to put that in either a baking dish, or you can use a roaster. Now, I did get a roaster because I like to use large birds, and you can buy a disposable one. They're not very expensive.
Okay, in order to plan how much time you're going to have your turkey in the oven, you want to use the little table that it has in your cooking bags. Don't go by your cookbooks, because if they're using the old-fashioned method without a bag, it will take longer. That's another reason to use cooking bags. It's going to take less time in the oven, more economical. So we'll look on the table, and then it will list the weight, and then it will tell how much time to allow. Okay, before you get your turkey in your hand, you want to make sure you've got your rack where it needs to go. It needs to be down far enough so that that plastic is not going to touch the top. In goes the turkey. There you go. We'll sometimes get done a little sooner so you can check on it. A half hour earlier, just to see how it's doing. And if that little thermometer thing pops out, that's the time to test it with a regular meat thermometer to see if it truly is done. Okay, the timer went off, and now we're going to check on the turkey to see how it's doing. So we're going to pull the whole shelf out so I don't have to pick this up. That little thermometer has poked out. It probably is done. Now we're going to double check it with a meat thermometer. I'm going to poke it right in, right there. Let's see, 165. Looks like it's, yeah, it's that. Now I am going to try it in a dark meat place. The dark meat sometimes takes a little longer. So on that thigh, in behind the leg there, I'm going to poke it behind there. Oh yes, it's definitely done. We're going to bring this thing out of the oven now. Just leave it encased in this plastic. It's going to be setting to seal in the juices. Okay, the timer's gone off. It's been 15 minutes. And now it's time to carve the bird. We're going to start by taking it out of the bag. And watch out for escaping steam. Now right now I can just see there's juice running all over out of that bag. So that's great. You got lots of juice. When we carve it, we're going to want to pour that juice back on the bird. It'll keep all those slices of turkey nice and moist. And a lot of this you can just kind of pull off the bone. You don't even have to use your knife for that. Keep the white meat together. This is a nice big chunk. I'm going to go ahead and slice it in a piece. Put that with the white. I like to do it a day ahead so there's no pressure, and then when I've got my company here I can be visiting with them instead of standing out in the hot kitchen doing that while everybody else is talking. What's happening is you're going to have that sitting all night in juice. So when you think about it that way, wonderful. And I've never had a dry turkey since I started using those bags and since I've been using this method of just carving it up the day before. The other thing is when you have company, it's nice not to have stress. You want to enjoy your company. Okay, now when we're doing breasts like this, we look and see where the grain is, and we can see here those long muscles are going this way, but against the grain. And as you're cutting, you can see, are you seeing against the grain, or are you starting to see long pieces? And the deal is, it makes it more tender to eat. And I keep them fairly thick so that it doesn't fall completely apart. And we're getting some nice big slices of meat here. Okay, and there's some more bones for soup. Get that in the soup. You could cover this with foil, be fine. But because of my little refrigerator, I'm going to have to do this. Put it back into the baking dish. And we're wanting to make sure that it goes down into the dish so that we can keep everything moist with all this good juice. All this good juice goes over top. By the way, this good juice can be used for gravy. And that juice you're going to want to keep. You're also going to want to have some on your platter so that it keeps the meat moist. Another wonderful thing about using these bags is you don't have as much cleanup trouble. Look at that pan. Without the bags, all this would have lots of crusty on it to try and get out. Okay, there is our great big dish of meat. And I want one that's going to go clear across. I would suggest really try and seal that very nicely like this so that you don't have any air coming up around it. That's going to keep this turkey nice and moist through the night and the next day. Tomorrow, I can bring this out, put it in the oven to heat up. I will be able to have room in my oven for other things too. When you're baking that big old turkey, it kind of monopolizes the whole oven. So that's another good reason we've got it down to the small baking dish and we're ready to go. To put this in the refrigerator, we're going to want to make sure that we protect our shelf. So I always put down a couple of hot pads, and that will kind of hold it up a little bit so that the air circulates around and we can get it'll get cold a lot faster. Then you're going to pull this out, put it in the oven at 350 for about an hour to get it heated up. If you want to put it in 2 pans, it might heat a little bit faster. But this way you can put it in the oven and you can cook other things while the turkey is warming up. Now to make soup, okay, we're going to throw that thing right in the stock pot. I pressed it down. It's fitting in there real nice. Any big chunks of stuff. These onions that were inside the bird will make nice seasoning. We're going to be cooking at about an hour and a half. And what we usually do on Thanksgiving is we'll have our big meal at noon, and then we'll have turkey soup at night. And then we're going to fill it with water and put it on the stove. And that's going to make great soup. This is Lena Shea and Iowa Mom. Thanks for watching.